Welcome back to First Move, live from New York, where it's looking like a weak open for US stocks. Futures at this moment down over 1%. We've got an avalanche of tech earnings later today, so that's probably giving investors pause for thought. We've also had devastating economic data from around the world, including here in the United States. Second quarter GDP falling almost 33% on an annual basis, the worst ever plunge in US economic activity ever. At the same time, jobless claims rising by another 1.4 million people. Just to give you a sense of scale, we'll do this every week. Some 13 million people, according to the latest readings, still collecting some kind of benefit assistance. That comes in at around 1 in 5 American workers. All of this as enhanced jobless benefits for needy Americans runs out this week and a moratorium on US evictions ends. Tens of millions of Americans are in danger of losing their homes over the next few months if they can't afford rent, according to certain estimates. Stimulus talks continue again today in Washington, but a deal does not appear close. Let's talk this through. Seth Harris joins us now. He was acting U.S. Secretary of Labor under President Obama. Seth, fantastic to have you on the show. These numbers are pretty devastating, whichever way you look at them.
There's no question, Julia, this is the picture of a devastating and very rapid economic collapse. I think we can expect to see some improvement in the third quarter, but the unemployment claims numbers that you cited are really deeply troubling. The reality is that since the beginning of June, the unemployment claims numbers, which are something of a proxy for the number of people who are losing their jobs in any given week, have been flat. They haven't changed, and they are at record high levels. And so what that tells us is that we are not on a smooth path to recovery. And the small increase in unemployment claims lately suggests that perhaps the economy is slowing again, not collapsing, but slowing down again. And the hopes of a V-shaped rapid recovery are simply silly and are gone.
It's just tough to imagine what happens, whether it's the health crisis or just trying to get people back into the workplace, assuming that those jobs are available. Because when I look at the numbers for job openings and compare them to the sheer scale of people collecting benefits, there's still tens of millions of people without jobs, even if you match up as many as you can. The economics here are so challenged, and they're challenged whichever way we look.
That's precisely right, Julia. And this is the big hole in the argument that President Trump and Republicans in the United States Senate are making. They are trying to make the argument that the reason that people are not going back to work is because they have given them an additional $600 a week in unemployment benefits. Essentially, they argue, incentivizing them to stay home. But the truth is that right now in the American economy, or at least as of a few weeks ago, there are only 5 million job openings. And as you noted, 30 million people out of work. So even if you keep throwing incentives at people, it's futile. There are no jobs for these people to go back to. And that's because demand in the economy has collapsed. We do not have enough economic growth going on in the economy to sustain new jobs for those 30 million people who are collecting unemployment benefits right now. It's a flawed and frankly morally bankrupt argument designed to scale back government spending when, let me say, the GDP numbers tell us, the gross domestic product numbers tell us that the one thing that is keeping our economy going is government spending, unemployment benefits, food assistance, support for small businesses. And so if we cut that off or if we don't do enough of it, we're going to drive the American economy back down into a deep recession.
The University of Chicago put out a study saying 68% of people actually are earning more now than they were earning pre-COVID. The median amount is a third higher than they were. So I can see that some Republicans, the more conservative ones, will look at this and go, hang on a second, perhaps we got the numbers wrong. Fine if you want to reduce that perhaps to some degree or look at what people were earning before. But the logistical challenge of what the Republicans have presented here, never mind anything else of trying to work out what 70% of what people were earning pre-COVID and trying to do that for the coming months. How is that possible given the challenges that we've seen even with what's already happened?
You're precisely right. State unemployment offices are completely overwhelmed even now. And so if you ask them to take on a new complicated calculation for each individual unemployment insurance check they have to cut, it's going to slow them down even further. Estimates are that it would take 2 to 5 months to implement the system that Senate Republicans and President Trump want them to implement. And in the meantime, lots and lots of people are going to get an inadequate amount of money. See, the most important thing to remember about unemployment benefits is that it boosts the economy, it boosts consumer spending, because there's a lot of evidence that unemployed workers, when they get $1, immediately turn around and spend that dollar. That's what keeps their local economy going, the grocery store, the gas station, their landlord. And if you take that money out of their pockets, spending is simply going to go down. So while there might be, in a perfect world, a better way to run this system, we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a technologically challenged, under-resourced world, and we live in a world where the economy is really struggling. We need to pump as much spending into the economy as possible, and unemployed workers are the perfect way to do that.
Yeah, there's no perfect solutions here, but pulling back the support at this moment is not the answer. Seth, fantastic to have you on. We'll get you back soon to discuss this. It's an ongoing challenge, clearly. Seth Harris, the former acting Secretary of Labour under President Obama. Seth, thank you again.